I would like to share a TV theme song. Let's see if you recognize it. Just sit right back in the dun. That is the theme from Gilligan's Island, and that is about the perfect introduction to a story. The show was pretty funny, but for it to be one of the biggest sitcoms of all time, I would credit that not so much to the show, but to the theme song. If you break it down line by line, you'll get every element that you need if you're on stage telling a story to capture your audience within the first minute so they can stay engaged for an hour or more. Let's look at it line by line, and please bear with my singing. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. Let's break that down. Just sit right back. The first thing they do is capture your attention and give you instructions to engage you into the story. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale. Not, I will tell you a tale. Sit back and you will hear a tale, putting your focus on the audience. In the speech coaching business, we call that you focus. Tale of a faithful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. We have now the plot. The plot is a boat takes a trip somewhere. And we have the setting, which is a tropic port on a tiny ship. Minimal information. The only thing missing now, the characters. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day on a 3-hour tour. In just a few lines, we get all the story elements. The reason for it is because we have minimal details of those elements. That gives your audience a chance, number one, to use their imagination to fill in the blanks, and also to let them decide if they're interested in the rest of the story or not. This takes me back to my early days as a journalist. Back in the old days when we had these things called newspapers where we got our information. You wrote a story, the first paragraph was one sentence, and that sentence was called the lead. That had all the information that you're going to have in the story, and you had to cram it into 30 words or less. The way you did it was to share minimal details. You never put somebody's name unless it's a celebrity or a politician that you know, president or somebody. You would see a university student was arrested early this morning. We didn't get what time, we didn't get the student's name, we didn't get any other information, just that much. Now I'm going to look into the body of the story to find the details. So when you prepare a story for an audience, I recommend the Gilligan's Island format. First, you give them instructions to listen without saying, listen, pay attention. That doesn't do too much for audience rapport. Then put the focus on them. Say, you will hear a story. You are about to take a journey. And then tease the story elements so they have an idea what they expect, but you can still hit them with the unexpected. I want to tell you one of the worst things to do in a story is tell it in chronological order. If you hear somebody telling a story in chronological order, that usually means one thing. They didn't rehearse. They didn't practice it. They didn't write it out. They're going from memory. And they're probably going to include details that don't matter. There we were on our way to my house. Well, actually, we had to stop and go to the store first because I needed some milk. And, well, yeah, they only had skim. And so anyway, didn't matter. If it doesn't fit the narrative, if it doesn't fit the theme of the story and why you're telling it, eliminate it. Just like the old saying goes, if it doesn't fit, you must omit. And you know it, that your storyteller did not prepare properly when they tell it in chronological order, use details that do not apply, and use the 2 ugliest words that you'll hear in storytelling. And then. Oh, well, this story, hurry up and end already. And then, hey, all right, it's over. The other 2 words you don't want to use is I felt. As you tell a story, your feelings don't matter. You're not there to resolve your conflict. You're telling the story to resolve the audience's conflict. You make them feel what you felt. Then you don't have to say, I felt that way. You want them to feel. You don't resolve your conflict. You resolve your audience's conflict. In doing my extensive research for this video, meaning I went back and watched Gilligan's Island episodes on YouTube, I discovered the topic for my next video, which is about what happens after they get rescued. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert, eventually they get rescued. So we're going to see another video about where you get your resources for telling stories, and another video about what happens after you get rescued from Gilligan's Island. Because after all, in pursuit of our dreams and our destiny, we're all stranded on a tropic isle somewhere. So for the meantime, make sure next time you take a boat, pack enough to last you for much longer than a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour.